What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn Dogs Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, we had a spectacular week in golf at the
Oh my
PGA
gosh, yeah.
Championship. What'd you think of the week?
Well, first of all, hot take right off the bat. That may have been the greatest Sunday in golf of recent memory.
Wow. Okay. Tiger was not in it, by the way. So that's an interesting take. Continue. I'm all ears. By the way, we haven't said this yet. Shout out to Xander. Guy finished on a Sunday, which was a story that
Cheers.
Yeah, well, felt like there was a lot of stories around that Xander would always choke on Sunday. And he did not this time. So good for him.
I love Xander. He's awesome. Shout out to Xander. Shout out to Nelly Korda for her sixth win in the last 7 starts. Are you kidding me? Shout out to Harry Hall, Monday qualifying this week on an eagle to make a playoff of like a 30-yard chip in. That was awesome. But no, dude, this was a spectacular week. The fact that we had Xander Schauffele, who is a fan favorite, super consistent guy. We had Bryson DeChambeau, who gained every single fan that he lost, he gained back.
Can we talk about that? The fact that the Bryson went from like interesting up and comer to villain. Now he's like morphed back into hero. It's such a weird like overall arc of Bryson that we haven't anticipated. And I know you're gonna say it's because he got rid of the douchey hat, which potentially, depending on
it's a cap.
Or cap, yeah, is potentially part of it. But I think he's really kind of changed since he's gotten almost on social media, which is interesting.
That's a big thing. I can tell you exactly. So Bryson DeChambeau, one of the best junior golfers in the world, obviously dominated the USAM, came up as an AM and into his from college to playing days or pro days. Spectacular swing, really consistent. He then started to get, well, he's always into science, but like really into science, weightlifting, and he became a tool. For anybody who doesn't know, he would bring like levels to the range, and if it wasn't level, like perfectly flat, he would go yell at the maintenance staff. There's a couple other stories like that really turned people off about him. And he always kind of had, preface, beforehand, a douchey demeanor.
Yeah.
And that's when Brooks Koepka started to kind of battle it out. And that's when nobody liked Brooks Koepka for a little bit because of how him trashing majors. So then Brooks Koepka was up here and Bryson was down here. When Brooks beat him and they settled that beef, it was like, okay, we like Brooks again, but Bryson's down here. Then he puts on the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup outfit, and he shoots back up here. He's Captain America taking Patrick Reed's spot. Then Brooks comes back. He's like, yeah, I just signed. I got a $600 million and I'm banging my wife every day. And it's like, Brooks is back, baby. Brooks is back. And now Bryson took over the crown between those two guys. He is awesome. And I'll say one more thing about Bryson before I lose my voice and pick you off. Not only was he on a Sunday, what I love as a fan, if I'm sitting on my couch on a Sunday for 10 hours, voluntarily, by the way, to see a guy get that emotional on every single shot was amazing to see. It kept me captivated. It was beautiful. But not only that, he gained my respect more than you could ever say. I don't know if you saw this, Liam, because I know you were golfing at one point.
Yep.
He threw a ball to a kid.
I saw this one. Yeah, it's on social media.
And he yelled at the guy. Now, not only is that cool, but what I want everybody to remember, it is Sunday in a major championship when he was in contention, when he could have easily kept moving, laser locked in, and he took that time away to make sure that kid got that ball.
Yeah, I mean, yelling at the old man who doesn't need a golf ball is always something that I'm game for. I think some of it too kind of goes back to sports as a whole. You always see it at like baseball, where like the 75-year-old guys are like, "Come sign my baseball," professional player, and then it ends up on like eBay 3 days later. Mm-hmm. And you're like, all right, dude, what the hell? Like, you're screwing it for everybody else. So anytime it's an opportunity for a kid between the ages of like 5 and I'll give 20. If a kid's in like early college and has like been a big fan of a sports team their whole life and they want a signature or a ball, we'll let it pass. But like the 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds that do that stuff, I'm sorry, but like it's just off-putting. Give it to a kid, like they'll remember it for their entire lives. They got like 80 years of history that they're going to remember it for in the future. Just let them experience it. Don't take it as an
That's
old
the
guy and put it on Expedia or put it on eBay.
Expedia. Yeah,
You
no,
know what I meant.
that's the stuff that gets me emotional. Because I was that kid.
Yeah.
Obviously, I talk about how I was just addicted to golf at a young age. I went to every event I could that was in the Illinois area, and in my closet, I don't know why I looked over here. I have so many flags that are signed, golf balls from these people. You just create really personal memories as a kid, and just being there, it's a lot more special than an adult, obviously. But like that was just so cool.
Yeah.
I love that, and I was teetering on the Bryson bandwagon fan. Shout out to Christian if you're listening. I know I've dogged on you in the past for being a Bryson bandwagoner. I'm in the club. I'm back in.
Let's be abundantly clear. It also doesn't hurt the fact that he's currently playing extremely well and has basically been top 15 at both, I think, Augusta, and then now runner up here at.
He was 7th at Oak Hill, or 6th or 7th at Oak Hill, 6th or 7th at the Masters, and now runner up here, dominating.
I know Colin is the only one to be top 5 at both, so I didn't know where Bryson fell outside of that. Let me loop back everything together. So Xander Schauffele, first individual PGA Tour win, first major win. He now has exemption into all 4 majors for the next 5 years. He probably won't need it. I'm sure he'll be good enough to.
No, he'll be fine.
He'll qualify for them just because he's Xander Schauffele and he's good enough. But he has it now anyways. God forbid for whatever reason he doesn't qualify into one. And he also has lifetime exemption into the PGA Championship, which again is the only major outside of the Masters that has that lifetime exemption, which is why you see like John Daly and those guys play here every year. Although John Daly, I think, is withdrawn each of the last 3. But that is what Xander Schauffele got from
Hooters, what you said.
His win. So that is great. Again, the monkey's off of Xander's back. Does anything else stand out for you in terms of things? I can think of a couple big names to miss the cut, things like that, but I don't know if there's anybody else that stands out.
Yeah, Victor Hovland got his golf game back, which is awesome. Like you had said, Colin Morikawa, awesome. Good for Justin Rose to be up there.
Both Colin and Hovland are back with their old coaches too, which is very funky. So they left their coaches because they didn't like what was going on, went to new coaches, played like shit, and now got back with their old coaches and both finished top 5 in a major, which I think is
hot
hilarious.
Take, and I can talk about that forever. That's what ruined Tiger's career. Anyway, first of all, shout out Billy Horschel. I don't think anyone was expecting him to be top 10. I don't even think Billy did. But shout out Scotty Scheffler. I know this has already been talked about. If you follow us, screw us. Everybody in the golf community, anywhere on social media, you couldn't bypass that. Let me just put this into perspective. Number one is Scotty Scheffler is one of the most humble, nicest, down-to-earth people in the world. Just for context, just in case, because I'm a golf nerd, I do this stuff. When Scotty won the Masters, I'll make a long story short, there's a dedicated chef with his team and someone at the local supermarkets ready for anything that the winner wants. Anything.
Yeah.
Scotty goes, what do you have ready so you guys can wrap up and go home? And he had like a pulled pork sandwich and a bag of Lay's and sat alone. That is beautiful.
Sounds like a great dinner to me.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining. But that same guy woke up Friday morning, found out someone, obviously an accident, tried to get around, misunderstanding. There's a lot of loopholes with that. We can go into that if we really want to.
Yeah, let's not get into too much legal jargon.
Went to jail, literally got booked, arrested, the whole 9 yards.
Orange jumpsuit looked really sexy.
Orange jumpsuit. If you can, put it here just for anybody, not to make too much work. Yeah. You have to. Found out he may play, stretched in a jail cell, drove to the course, and for preface, again, Scotty likes to arrive to the course 3 hours early. He got there with 45 minutes to spare and had breakfast and went out and shot 5 under.
Yeah, he shot 66.
Yeah, exactly. That should not happen. So, yes, everybody's going to dog on him for not winning and finishing 8th with like a 73 on Saturday. I don't care what anybody says. You guys all have deadlines at work or school or whatever your life's going. Get arrested and then go and the most publicized event in sporting history. Maybe not history, but like I couldn't turn on frickin' what's a channel that I don't watch? Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Is that a channel? Nickelodeon
Yeah, it's still a
channel?
channel. Yeah,
Nickelodeon
yeah.
channel, whatever that
You're
is. Scotty Scheffler's mugshot was right there. Every time
QVC might have had Scotty Scheffler's mugshot on there.
I have no idea what that is either.
That's it's like buying kitchen appliances.
Oh.
That's
seriously, you turn on ESPN and it's like we have a major championship with 60 guys that are on the range. And it's like, well, Scotty Scheffler for the 19th time today has been. It was like, we got it. Show anything else. Like you couldn't escape it. Like it was Twitter, Instagram, ESPN, BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed, what's the sports one?
Barstool is the sports one. Yes.
Yeah, whatever I'm trying to say. Everything. And then he came out and dapped up the police officers.
Yeah. It was hilarious to me because there was legitimate golf going on at one point while he was still in the clubhouse kind of deal. And before he rolled up too. And it was still like there is legitimate golf going on. But let's figure out when Scotty Scheffler is going to arrive at Valhalla. Because that is
Dean Burmeister shot 65 and they were showing Scotty Scheffler eat a ham croissant. Like it was just like what was going on? Now, granted, I was interested because no one knew what the heck was going on, but they could have done it playing through. Like 100%. Scotty Scheffler eating, I don't know if he ate a ham croissant, I'm just making it up, but like Scotty Scheffler sipping coffee and looking at, he's wearing a blue shirt instead of his orange jumpsuit. How Nike didn't send him an orange shirt the next day overnight was a mistake for the record. Anyway, just to wrap up, like that is... We're getting kind of what the Tiger effect was. We're getting used to that.
Yeah.
Think about that. His worst finish, I think second or third or worst finish on the year, is 8th place after getting arrested. His caddy wasn't there for a round.
Yeah. Ted Scott did have to go see his daughter graduate on Saturday, so he wasn't there with him. I think he also had some jitters from that Friday after a long day where he was totally out of rhythm, and he only shot 2 over. So
how could you not be?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll end it on this. Thoughts and prayers to the family and all those involved in the accident on Friday. It's a horrible circumstance. We feel awful, and we hope that everybody that's affected can, again, have peace and do everything they need in order to continue onward. On that note, we're going to get back into golf. What kind of stood out to you in terms of overall in the week? You know, got like Rahm missed the cut. That's one that stands out for me like crazy. Wyndham Clark,
Ludwig Aubert missed the cut.
Ludwig Aubert missed it on the number. Wyndham Clark missed the cut. I want to say Adam Scott missed the cut. You're right. There's a lot of big names there that all kind of missed the cut. Quite surprising.
Michael Block.
Oh yeah. Hey, Blocky almost did better than Tiger though.
For the record, everybody, I sent a text we have a group chat of some people. That there was BetMGM had a Tiger Woods versus Michael Block head-to-head, and Tiger Woods is like minus 800.
Yep.
Who would have thought that would have pushed?
Block, who I think was plus 450 or something like that. It was wild. So it would have been quite crazy for that to go on. Beyond that, do you want to get into DraftKings and FanDuel lineups, or is there anything else that stands out to you on the week?
Yeah. One more thing. This may have been turning of the tides of the most exciting major. Maybe not the best major, but I think in terms of what is exciting in major golf, that is what the world wants. And I think it just makes the impending, or hopefully impending, PGA Live merger even closer, because clearly the world needs golf. At this point, PGA doesn't need Live. Live doesn't need PGA. They're both growing superstars in their own right. The golf community, as much as we've said this, needs everything to come together. But my last thing here is, it's 2 things. Number 1, Valhalla needs to be a major staple. They need to make it a decade.
Yep.
Number 2, that U.S. Open winner better shoot 16 over. I don't care what happens. I do not want to see red figures.
Yeah, having the cut line at -1 was a little tough. I have a gut feeling that was not expected, but the rain kind of caused challenges. Mm-hmm. I'm sure soft greens gave guys opportunity. I will say as well, I enjoyed the fact that there are probably more eyes on golf the last 72 hours than there have been on golf since Tiger was in his prime, potentially. I mean, it's quite close. That's all I'm saying. I think it's quite close. There may be an instance or two, but it's going to be a top 5 at least weekend.
I'll say this. In the social media, you don't have to watch era. Yes.
Yeah.
Because back then, you was either you watched or you hope you caught 6 shots on SportsCenter the next day.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I wish we were back to. I really do. I hate, like, I miss the days where, like, we're from Chicago. Last thing I'll say, and then we can jump into everything. The Blackhawks. You in Chicago, you had to tune it. Like, your calendar had the Blackhawks games on it. Yeah. Like, you had to watch. Now it's like, okay, I'll log on to my phone at 8:30 p.m. once the game's over and see if Bedard scored. Like, there's no incentive to watch because you know you can catch it after. I miss those days.
Yeah, 100%. But again, yeah, I think this is one of the highest, like, viewership or eyes on golf weekends in terms of, or weeks in general in terms of golf in at least 5 years.
ESPN minimum. And CBS and NBC, tremendous job. My only gripe is I hate playing through. Take that crap away. Yes. Outside of that, spectacular. But
yes. Let's get into it. How is your DraftKings lineup? How'd you do this week? Did you win any money?
My DraftKings lineup, we raked, ladies and gentlemen. We had Xander, Brooks, Bryson, Noren, and Sebastian Soderberg. And then we had Tim Whiting. I took a flyer on him at 5,600. But listen, 5 out of 6 making the cut. I had 1, 2. Alex Noren was like 12. Brooks was 19 or 21.
25 maybe.
I'll take that.
I mean, you knew if either Tim or Sebastian Soderberg were going to make the cut, that if one of those did, the other 4 guys were going to be in pretty good shape. So
I saw somebody put a $50 bet on Sebastian Soderberg to get a hole-in-one. He's like, I thought his name was cool. He won like it's like 50 grand or something like that. It was like
respect
100,000 to 1. It was something ridiculous.
Well, let's also comment on the fact that Sebastian Soderberg made the cut, I think, by 1 stroke. So if he didn't make the hole-in-one, he would have missed the cut. He likely would have missed the cut on the number. So that's hilarious. On my end on DraftKings, I also did solid. I didn't have 1 and 2, but I had Rory, who was 12. I had Alex Noren, who was T12. I had Taylor Moore, who was T12. That was huge. I love Taylor Moore this week. I had Hideki, who was T35.
Who played.
He did play all 4 rounds. Shout out Hideki. I had Jordan Smith, who I got a lot of grief from, who was T39. My only guy that missed the cut was Ludwig Gobert. But it didn't matter. I still cashed and everything. And we had a pretty good week as far as DraftKings goes.
Yeah. FanDuel, I hit the bottom spot on my single entry and bottom percentage on the double up. Still won money, but literally the last spot, I go Rambo, who my most expensive guy who missed the cut. Brooks 21st, Xander win, Noren like 12th, Tiger, MF, and Woods, who after day 1, I will stand to the tone. He looked fine. He just kept getting these terrible bounces. Like, it was honestly, it felt like one of us playing where you'd hit a great shot. You're like, oh, I striped it. Any 20 handicapper could relate to that. They hit a good shot, they stripe it, and then it just takes a bounce off like a sprinkler head. You're like, what the? He just kept having that happen. And then day 2, couldn't get off the tee, and that cost him. But Sebastian Soderberg, 7,700. Take money. We'll take green.
Yeah, no, it worked out well. Mine was a little more meh, but I still made money. Kind of like Jack, just like bottom edges of those single entries, bottom half of the double ups. I had Rory, who was T12, Fleetwood T26, Joaquin Niemann T39, Taylor Moore T12, Soderberg T68, and then I also had Ludwig Gobert in that one, who again missed the cut. So pretty good week, all things considered, in terms of DraftKings and FanDuel.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you don't follow us on social media, do it, because if you did, you would have got a ton of money. So I'm not going to spend all my time reading through those bets because I think all another had like 25. Yep. Long story short, and I'll read through a couple of highlights. We're up 4.27 units on the week, bringing us finally to 30.52 units overall on the year. I was stuck between that 25 and 28 range for it felt like a month, maybe two. But some big winners. Bryson top 20 in round one. That was my wild card, which we'll get into, but I made it an official bet. Neiman top 40. Bryson top 40. Soderbergh made cut. Bryson eagle in round one, which is spectacular. And hey, TikTok. Screw you for taking that down. Screw you. My favorite bet, which I called it, I told everybody, and it looked very scary. When Scotty to finish sixth or worse was minus 120. Friday morning, I was feeling really good. Friday afternoon, I was like, you got to be effing kidding me.
If Scotty did not get arrested, you would have lost that bet. Now, golf wouldn't have the extra, 500 million fans because of the event this week if that didn't happen, but you would have lost that bet. And in my heart of hearts, I think that is 100% true.
I think it just number one proves Ted Scott need a raise. But anyway, long story short, up 4.27, breaking the cusp for 30.52 units overall on the 2024 golf season. You're welcome.
There we go. As far as my bets went last week, I went 3 for 6. I had Brooks Koepka top 20 at minus 115. Again, I think he finished like 25th.
You know why?
Why?
We squad rode it.
I know. It happens. So that was one of the ones I lost. I had Joaquin Neiman as the top South American over like Alejandro Tosti, Emiliano Grillo, and somebody else. That was a win. I had Hideki Matsuyama as the top Japanese at plus 105. He had to beat Takumi Kanaya, Rio Hitsasune, and somebody else. Maybe Semikawa or Nakajima. Okay. He lost because he made triple on 16. And so I think Rio beat him by 2 shots. I had Victor Perez over Matthew Pavon at plus 110. Now, don't look at where they both finished because they might have both been bottom 10 on the total leaderboard.
They might have lost to John Daly.
Yeah. I think Perez finished at like plus 9 overall on the Thursday and Friday. I think Pavon finished at plus 11. So we won because it was plus 110. So we'll take the win there. I had Akshay Bhatia over Tom Kim. For whatever reason, Tom Kim seemed to play really well, even though it was 7,600 yards on the course. Like, make it make sense. And then my favorite bet of the week was Alex Noren, top 30 at plus 220. That was a win. So that was a really nice boost for the week. It gave me a positive 0.93 units on the week. So I'm currently 3.75 units positive on the year.
If you follow the Turn Dog Golf podcast and you bet every single bet to 1 unit, you would be up 34.5 units on the year.
Something like that. There you go.
Why aren't you liking? Why aren't you subscribing? Why aren't you going to TikTok? Why aren't you going to Twitter? Turn Dog Golf everywhere. Go look it up, please. We're begging you.
All right, let's go to winners last week. How'd your winners do? Come on, talk dirty to me.
I don't know, Liam. Why don't you tell me how my winner did?
I don't know. Jack had some guy, Brooks Cupcake, who finished T26. He had Alex Noren, who I was a big fan of, who finished T12. His pre-year pick was this guy named Xander Schauffele. As a half decent pick.
Half decent pick.
He might have won last week. So. Nicely done. That's Jack's, third win on the year?
Is that back-to-back winners for us, by the way?
Yeah, I took Rory last week. You had Xander this week.
Mm-hmm. Anybody? Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Well, let's. I'm gonna loop this in, but my winners picks for the week. I had Rory, who was T12. I had Justin Thomas, who was T8, and I took Bryson, who finished second. So regardless, even if Xander would have missed the 8-footer on 18 and sent it to a playoff, one of us was winning this week. So
let me just preface one more time. If you're new or you just saw us last week and you're coming back because you're like, holy crap, these guys made us a crap load of money. Our 6 winners predictions were 1, 2, 8, 12, 12, 26.
Yes. Yep. And again, we didn't pick the top 6 guys in the field. We had Alex Noren, Bryson.
Scotty wasn't there. Rom wasn't there. Aubert wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we didn't include any of those guys. Wyndham
Or
Clark
Powell
wasn't in
wasn't
there
there.
either. So yeah, that was really good week in terms of
Michael Block
winners.
wasn't there.
Oh God, yeah, we should
Cougar
have taken
Collins
Block.
wasn't there.
Cougar, shout out.
Cougar, if you're
Uh,
listening, hit us up.
100%. How'd your wild card pick do last week?
Smack. Bryson DeChambeau, top 20 in round one, was plus 250. My goodness, is he electrifying? And he made us. I made it into a real bet, and I loved it because he made me money.
There we go. My wild card pick was Cam Smith to miss the cut at plus 225. I think he made the cut on the number. Cam Smith finished like T50. And then my other one I thought about it was Patrick Cantlay to miss the cut. I think he made the cut and finished T63. So both those guys made the cut, but I don't know. I would not have felt very good about playing either of them this week. Jack is now seeing my message underneath all of this.
So to give preface to context, last week, Liam was, and rightfully so, very high on Jordan Smith. And he said in a very brazen statement, which I interpreted incorrectly at first, him saying Jordan Smith was better than Jordan Spieth. That's how I interpret it. He meant in terms of the metrics for this tournament. But I brazenly thought that he was saying Jordan Smith was better than former world number one and multi-major tournament winner Jordan Spieth. So we made a little side bet. Jordan Spieth finished 43rd. Jordan Smith finished 39th. And what is the note that I just, if you saw me laughing 2 minutes ago randomly.
Yeah, so my note is Jack, loser, 43rd, Liam, winner, 39th. Suck my dick and balls, LOL. So
completely caught off guard.
Jordan Smith shot a 7 under 64 on Sunday to beat Jordan Spieth by
Who didn't
one
even
shot.
play bad. He didn't even play bad.
He did not. But what can I say? Jordan Smith, the better Jordan this week. That's all I'm saying. So that is hilarious. I think we bet a beard next time we golf. Just saying. It's all right. I get it. So
yeah, because we can't go back to that one course. We're not getting the on par.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man. All right, let's leave it there for now. We will hold off on any other PGA Championship news for the next 51 weeks. We are moving on to the Charles Schwab Challenge at the Colonial. This is a par 72 totaling 7,200 yards. Last year's winner was Emiliano Grillo. If you think about it, the last 4 to 5 weeks, I feel like Jack and I have kind of reiterated the same statements regarding the course breakdowns, distance off the tee being extremely beneficial, iron play and approach play being extremely important. That's not the full case here at Colonial. Iron play is still going to be extremely important because it almost always is. But the fairways are some of the most narrow on tour, and most holes include a dog leg or some of the smallest greens on tour. So driving distance is not really going to be in play as much. Driving accuracy will still be in play, very much so. But again, the distance is not going to be as much in play. If you look at the numbers the past 2 years, the winner hasn't even gotten to double digits under par. Again, some of that is due to weather. Some of that is due to the way the course is laid out. I kind of expect that to follow suit with the winner this week, probably being somewhere in the realm of 8 to maybe 13 under. Now, Scotty Scheffler is currently in the field, so he is going to be an exception to the rule. This is his home course. This is, again, a course in the suburbs of Dallas. Don't make me name the city it's in, but it's in the Dallas area. So knowing Scotty, what's up?
Fort Worth.
Is it in Fort Worth specifically? Okay, I didn't know if it was an outside suburb of Fort Worth.
Listen, everyone, golfers. What's this course's nickname?
The Scotty Classic.
What? Hogan's Alley, baby.
Oh, Hogan's Alley. Okay, I thought you were going to come up with something from Scotty based on the discussion we were just having. That's where I thought your head was going. But no, I think Scotty is an exception to the rule in terms of that 8 to 13 under. He could theoretically go out and shoot 5 under every day, and I wouldn't put it past him. Outside of that, again, I don't really have too much else in terms of metrics. This course has been around for a while, but it's undergone so many changes. So really, I would look no further back than probably the last 3 to 5 years in terms of course history if you wanted to follow that metric. Outside of that, stick to good putters and good approach players, and that's really kind of it.
I agree, and I got some information too. So, like you had said, there's been a ton of changes all throughout. A lot of the holes have been lowered. A lot of the change, I think one of the big things in terms of Colonial is everything is really tight. So like you had said earlier, driving accuracy is going to be incredibly valuable. There's 4 par 3s averaging with the tour yardages that have been pre-provided at 210 yards as an average, which is, I like that. If you've ever been to a live tournament, I will say my favorite spot to sit in is like a 100-yard wedge where these guys are just flicking it in.
Oh, yeah.
But the cut line here is right around 1 to 2 under. It's probably going to lean more toward 2 this year because of the impending wind that they're seeing. And holes 3, 4, and 5, kind of like some other courses that have a 3-hole stretch. This one's called the Horrible Horseshoe, and it plays over par for over 75% of players. So there's going to be wind gusts from an average of about 15 to 25 Thursday through Saturday, and wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour on Sunday. So I think that outside of the Scottie Scheffler miracle, we're probably going to see a single-digit end off of the year, which I am excited about, or not end off of the year, tournament rather.
Yeah, I'm very okay with it as well. Again, I'm on board to root for tournaments that don't end in 30 under. Tournaments that end in 30 under for me are a little less exciting than I know that they are for some people. I get it that, people like seeing birdies, but I like seeing people struggle.
I know the players that love the U.S. Open. I love watching a guy hit a perfect 3-wood and it rolls into a ditch.
100%. I'm the same way.
But we'll talk about the U.S. Open in a little bit, in a couple weeks here.
As I say, we might have a month max on the U.S. Open before it starts, so we will get into the swing of that quickly.
But jumping into DraftKings DFS, we have 4 guys in the $10,000, $11,000, and $13,000 range. It's kind of ridiculous. It's Scottie Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, Jordan Spieth, and Max Homa. And right off the bat, Scottie Scheffler is probably going to win this, and for nothing more than he basically wins anytime there's a piece of clothing that's available for winter. Masters, RBC Heritage, API. This basically is another plaid jacket to add. 13,300 is freaking ridiculous when you could probably load Morikawa and Homa in your lineup and get the same caliber guy. But oh my Lord.
Yeah, it's scary that he's 13-3, and I think he's kind of fairly priced.
Yeah.
It sounds so weird to say, but he is head and shoulders above the rest of the field. He tied 55th here in 2020. He missed the cut in 2021, but then he basically is finished second and third the last 2 years, if you include playoffs. So he's gained. By the way, Scottie Scheffler, guy who's not really good at, whose biggest weakness is quote unquote the putter. He has gained strokes putting in each of his last 6 starts. So if you take into account, he's won 5 of them or 4 of them maybe now.
Yeah, he's not Nelly Korda.
So he's only won 4 of them, but he's gained in each of his last 6 starts. And as you can see, his worst finish is 8th place. So I think he's going to be in pretty good shape this week. It's just a question of whether you want to spend the extra 2 G's to basically get to him.
Yeah, the thing for me with Scottie Scheffler, right now his line, if you guys use Bet365, they have like 4th or better or 5th or worse, which is kind of what I used last week for Scottie. Right now it's 4th, like 4th or better. That is telling, very, very telling. My concern with Scottie, not outside of just the price a little bit for me, is he was 50-50 on doing this tournament alone. Secondly, you have no idea what his mindset is. Now everything is set in. He's had time to process it. His legal situation got pushed to June. It's in his head. It's probably golf is like the last thing on his mind, but this also could be an escape. Like, you just have no idea. I don't know. For a guy like me looking at Colin Morikawa, who has basically said F you to the golf world after giving up on him, and Max Homa, who's kind of always had his foot on the gas the last couple weeks outside of players.
Yep.
I think you can overload your lineup with those 2 guys over Scottie, but you can do Scottie. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I mean, I get Scottie. I feel you on Morikawa and Homa. I mean, Morikawa has 5 straight top 25 finishes, including top 5s at both majors. He's in form right now. His approach play is back into the green, which is where he was originally spectacular and what made him a top probably 5 golfer in the world at one point in time, if not higher. Then you have Homa, who's gained on approach in 8 of his last 9 starts. The same can be said about his putter. He's also gained with his putter in 8 of his last 9 starts. His lone bad start was RBC Heritage, where he finished T55 and lost in every statistical category. But you take that away, and he has 2 finishes outside of the top 25 in his last 8 starts. So putter's good form, approach is in good form. He's finishing well in terms of his finishing positions. I'm all aboard Max Homa this week. The only guy we didn't mention, and I'll talk about him, is Jordan Spieth. He has top 10 finishes in 8 of his 11 appearances that he's played at this event since 2013. He's also amassed 79 strokes gained on the field over 38 career rounds at Colonial. The biggest issue with Spieth is he struggled this season, not contending outside of Kapalua, where he finished 3rd. He ranks 135th this season in strokes gained approach, and he's lost on approach in 8 of his last 10 starts. That is the definition of the truest of true wild cards on the week, if you ask me. You got a guy with spectacular course history who's been playing like ass, respectfully. And again,
the way you emphasize the ass, I don't think you can follow that with respectfully. You suck.
I mean, he has been playing bad, and I'm sure he will also admit to it if he chooses to. But again, he has just not been in peak Jordan Spieth form. You are really paying up for the course history of Jordan Spieth if you choose to play him here. It is a home course. Again, a guy from the Dallas area, so I get it. He is going to be a risky play. If you are in the single entry where not a lot of people win money in your FanDuel or DraftKings, he will not be highly owned, I'll tell you that, so you can get to him. And he has a chance to win. He's probably 2nd or 3rd best in terms of the field to win this week. But there is a lot of inherent risk when it comes to Jordan Spieth.
I agree with that. The one thing that I think is really positive for Jordan Spieth, especially in this event, is it's not going to get to 21 under. Yeah. Where I think a lot of those events, outside of when he was world number 1, much like Will Zalatoris, in a matter of speaking, really likes those 12 under and less, or I guess in this case more, under par. Yeah. I think that Jordan Spieth is someone you should probably not target. But I think, like you had said, if you're feeling risky and you're in like a dollar double up and you're just like, I need to have a fun lineup and I want to root for Jordan Spieth, go for it. But man, is he looking rough. I mean, he's had, since the Arnold Palmer, only 2 top 30s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the first week of March.
Yeah, it's been bad. Again, the only time he was really content was way back at the Century.
He finished 5th at Waste Management or something like that.
I don't remember that. That was the only time I remember him really in contention. He might have backdoored.
Well, I guess like I can look. We are on DraftKings.
He might have backdoored a top 10 at the Waste Management, but I don't think he really ever was in contention. Was it 6th? Okay.
Well, I mean, Scotty was lapping the field there, so.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I looked at it that way too. Because Scotty and Nick Taylor were so far ahead of the field and didn't matter. Nick Taylor, that's so funny to hear me say. Oh, man.
If we change the Canadian Open to Nick Taylor, I'm going to be mad.
All right, let's jump into the 9K range. I think we can kind of agree that 1, 2, 3, 4 is probably Scotty 1, Morikawa 2, Homa 3, Spieth 4.
Yes, in terms of ranking, in terms of the DFS model, I kind of like the Morikawa Homa package over Scotty individually, but in terms of like everything, yeah.
I agree. Yeah, if you can loop Morikawa and Homa in together, it probably trumps Scotty alone, but it's just a question of whichever way you want to roll it. Mm-hmm. All right. Into the 9K range, we have Tony Finau at 9,900, all the way down to Harris English at 9K.
My goodness, is Harris English playing good golf? And I didn't realize it. I know he was playing a lot better because we talked about him a couple times.
Yep.
But Harris English, to me, I remember Ryder Cup Harris English. Yep. Now, it's not too long ago, but then he gets injured, and he's kind of pulling, not to piss on anybody, but like a Daniel Berger, Gary Woodland, where they have a season where they just need to get in the rhythm, get in the routine of everything. And last year, especially at the end, he tailed off. One of the people in my family FanDuel contest had Harris English, and he beat me with Harris English, which is frustrating. But I was keeping tabs on him. I go, how have I missed like 20, 23, 8, not, all this stuff, but over the last bunch of weeks? Not to bypass that, but Tom Hoagie is my number one guy in this completely out of left field. Tom Hoagie fits the mold very well, and he's been playing spectacular. I call it boring golf.
Yeah.
It's not boring to me. I like Patrick Cantlay is fun to watch for me because I'm a golf nerd and purist. But accurate driver, great ball striking, above average short game. Tom Hoagie fits the mold at 9,300, especially in this field, 14 for 15 on cuts, with an average finish of 69 in the scoring department. His worst finish in the last the worst finish basically in the last 5 months has been 54, which is still going to get me points. Take it.
Yeah, I'll say this. I have some notes on Hoagie, too. 35th in the field in driving accuracy, second in the field in approach behind Scotty Scheffler. He has not lost strokes on approach on the PGA Tour since the FedEx St. Jude in August of last year. So that's almost 8-9 months straight of just gaining on approach, which is crazy. The only challenge with Tom Hoagie is that he's never finished better than T40 here in the last 5 years, which is kind of the one slight hiccup. But again, you got 98% likelihood of Hoagie making the cut, and so he's gonna play all 4 rounds, and he's gonna make plenty of birdies in terms of staying close to the red figures. So Hoagie's a good option there. I've been a bit of a fan of Harris English, I will say it. The toughest part, I feel like, of Harris English is getting him into your lineups because he's always in such weird pricing that you just don't. You're like, do I take Harris English or do I take Justin Thomas? I'm gonna go with Thomas, I guess, this week. That's how I feel so many times with Harris English, where I'm like, I kind of like him this week, but it's like, but I like somebody else more. But yeah, he's gained strokes putting in 8 of his last 9 starts. During this time, he's had 7 T28 or better finishes, including, like Jack said, a T18 finish this past week at the PGA. Super fancy. The other guy, 9,900, Tony Finau, he's gained on approach in 9 of his last 11 starts, resulting in 7 top 25 or better finishes. The biggest question for Tony is off the tee, where he's lost strokes off the tee in 4 of his last 7 starts. He's also lost strokes putting in 4 of his last 5 starts. But Tony's always kind of been a streaky putter in that sense. I'll talk about Siwoo. Siwoo, there's a hometown course for Siwoo, being based in Dallas. That's basically where the good news ends for Siwoo Kim. He finished T29 here last year and has otherwise had 4 missed cuts and a WD. The one time he didn't miss cut or WD, he finished T66. So although it's his backyard, he does not seem to capitalize on playing here. So think of it as the opposite of the Jordan Spieth effect. He has lost strokes putting in 6 straight tournaments as well. So it is quite brutal for Siwoo. Interesting note. Or no, he's 8K, isn't he? Yeah, he's 8K. Never mind. Ignore me. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you, though. I like Hoagie in this range. I also don't hate the idea of skipping this range. But probably Hoagie and English would be my top 2.
Yeah, I'm not too high on this. I think Minwoo Lee is a good option, but he's been probably the most inconsistent guy at that range. Brian Harmon, this course is a little long for him. Sung J M, who the heck? That guy needs to go play lefty. I don't know, but I think AK is better.
Yeah, he's just so up and down. You don't know what Sung J you're getting each week. So
4th or 104th.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, into the 8K range we go. We got Christian Bezuidenhout at 8,900, all the way down to Thomas Dietrich at 8,000.
This is scary.
Yeah, 100%.
Let me just say, I have no idea. I should have a lot more confident of an answer. This is going to be 4 guys in this are going to make the cut. 4 guys are not.
100%, and that's how I felt about this range too. I think if you want consistency. Go Christian Bezuidenhout or Denny McCarthy, just for the putters alone. Denny has been a little inconsistent the last 2 or 3 weeks. But again, he did finish second in Texas to Akshay. What is that now? 4 weeks ago.
Maybe more.
Maybe 5. It's again, just look back at Texas and you'll see it. But again, Denny's played well in Texas. He's also a really good putter, and that should blend well for this week. Bez, again, I think anytime it's a putting heavy week, I think Bez has a chance. Billy Horschel's an interesting option because he won recently and nobody even thinks about it. He's been playing really well in terms of recent form, but Billy Horschel is about as inconsistent as they come. Maybe it gives Jordan Spieth-esque vibes.
It's about as inconsistent as a vegan recipe, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's quite tough. So he's scary. I'd avoid him. Is it sad to say that maybe Sepp Straka has the most consistency in this range?
I think Tom Kim is probably the safest bet. And the reason I say that, normally I would disagree. Tom Kim, basically, much like what Colin Morikawa did, was give a big FU to the golf community. Yeah. That course was not set up well for him. And he played really well. And I think this event, not going to 20 under, might actually service him even better. And 8,200 for a guy that can sustain this pace for a decade, maybe 2 decades, I think is actually fair, especially with a scoring average of 70, and that includes just a bunch of random crap, including like a 78 randomly at, I want to say it was Valero, which I guess is Texas, so that's not great. But yeah, I think that's probably the safest play, or Justin Rose, because man, did he look frickin-tacular last week.
Yeah, Tom Kim is crazy to me because he's only like 21 or 22 years old, so you've got him for another 20 years of consistency.
If that.
Likely. I think he just turned 21 because now he can drink legally, and he was all thrilled about trying some sort of like moonshine that somebody was making, one of the PGA Tour guys. I don't know.
Probably Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, that would make sense. No, I don't hate Sepp Straka. Again, third in the field in driving accuracy. The biggest issue is that kind of around the green play, which could be a little terrifying, but he's got the driving accuracy. He's got the approach play. Keegan Bradley's also very interesting. 3 top 25 or better finishes in his last 4 starts. He's got a consistent approach game that has been improving and positive in each of those 4 starts. I don't know if I can get to him in terms of this range, just in general. I don't like this. Like, whenever I made a lineup, I could never get to the bottom of this 8K range. So I don't know if I can get to Keegan or Tom Kim or Straka. But those are kind of the guys I like.
Yeah, I feel that. I think I know we're supposed to come on here and portray confidence in a lot of these guys and tell you some sleepers or whatnot. This course does not benefit a lot of the average guys. It's either going to be very high or it's going to be a guy that excels. And looking in the 7K, for example, there's like 3 or 4 guys that I could give you information on that I think would better service than anything else.
100%, same way. So
speaking of that.
Yeah, I'll say this: if you're stuck in the 8K range, Denny, Tom Kim, or Seb, probably one of those 3, depending on what you're feeling.
I would say so. Maybe replace Seb for me, just in terms of driving accuracy, with maybe anyone else. But I agree.
Got it. Okay. Into the 7K range we go. We start with Akshay Bhatia at 7,900, all the way down to Brendan Todd at 7,000. You want to talk about driving accuracy?
Yeah. Where's what's his name? Adam Long. Where's that?
Yeah.
Former or record holder. A couple of guys I want to start off mentioning right away. Number 1, Akshay Bhatia, right off the bat.
Yep.
Yes. Fully aware that he just wildly missed the cut at the PGA. Fully freaking aware. 100% know it. Not going to even try to beat around the bush here. In terms of a guy that has a ton of distance off the tee, a ton of metrics that really service him well, I think that, Akshay is really, really good. Let me rephrase that, because obviously it's an obvious statement. I think that Akshay Bhatia might have the quietest route here. He is looking for, he just won, obviously, in Texas, possesses a swing with many moving parts. I think he's one of the most exciting guys on tour. And I think this is an event that, when it doesn't have to get to 20 under, I think could obviously serve him. And outside of the PGA, has not finished outside the top 45 since March.
Yeah. No, he's Akshay solid. I like the other guy at 7,900 too, Taylor Moore. If you want models of consistency, the guy that just finished 12th at the PGA. is now going to a even weaker field with respectfully less talent than the PGA Championship, just because of the fact that Live and PGA played in there. He's like $400 more than he was in the PGA, which is crazy to me. So he's basically an identical price in a weaker field and a guy that's going to make the cut and probably finish top 40. It just feels so right to in terms of 7,900. Now, does Akshay maybe have a little more winning upside? Potentially. I think Taylor Moore has a bit more safety in terms of a floor.
I think Akshay is not afraid to go for it.
Yeah.
Whether it costs him or, helps him out. I think Taylor Moore is like, not saying he's not happy not winning, because obviously everybody wants to win. I think he's really content with just playing really good golf, going home, and moving on to the next week. I really think so.
Yeah, if you told Taylor Moore he's going to finish T15 every week of the year, he would just not even show up to tournaments and take those T15s. I feel like it's the energy. That's the energy he gives off, at least.
Kevin Kisner, they pay a whole hell of a lot of money for 30th or whatever he said.
Yeah, exactly. So Taylor Moore's one I'm high on at 7,900. I'm also high on Maverick McNeely at 7,700. He's gained on strokes off the tee in each of his last 9 starts. During that same stretch, he's also only lost strokes putting 1 time. So he's great off the tee. He's great on putting. And again, he's top 5 in the field this week in strokes gained putting. The biggest challenge is potentially his approach play. It hasn't seemed to have been a problem at all this entire year. He's only proceeded to cross your fingers, dot your I's, cross the T's, do the whole thing. But the guy's played spectacularly through like basically 12 events this year. And at 7,700, he feels like an extremely cheap price as well. If you would have had him at low 8s, I would not have, thrown too much of a fit. So the fact that he's 7,700 is crazy. Mark Hubbard's also 7,700. He'll make a cut. It's not fancy. Biggest gripe on Hubbard is strokes gained off the tee because he doesn't have a ton of distance. But again, you don't need a ton of distance this time. So it won't be fancy. Less winning upside than McNeely, but he'll make a cut.
Yeah. I like both those. I like Maverick McNeely a lot. I also really love Austin Eckroat this week. And I mean really love Austin Eckroat. Outside of 60th at Wells Fargo and the Masters, he has not had a finish outside the top 45 since the Waste Management. And outside of the Waste Management has been inside the top 45 every single time. He has been the model of consistency. At 7,500, everybody knows if you're listening, make a cut, and I'm a happy man. 11 for 13 on cuts. Masters does not play the same as Charles Schwab. Wells Fargo, maybe a little bit more similar, but not dire. I think that Austin Eckroat is set up for success here. Oklahoma State kid. Been high on him for a while. It was him and Sam Stevens. We were joking on the back end. I've had pictures of them on my camera roll. Oh, this sounds weird. This sounds weird. Let me rephrase this. I love college golf. I love all golf types, and I'll take like pictures of people to watch for. So I probably have kids that I don't even know who they are anymore. But like we took a look. Sam Stevens and Austin Eckroat have been on my camera roll for like a decade. It's been crazy.
You just like watching kids play golf.
Let's not put that on the world. Anyway, Austin Eckroat I think is spectacular. He won the Honda. Cognizant.
Yeah, he did. He did win the Honda. Yes.
Stupid heck they call it. I like him. I like Nikolai Hoyard this week. Although, granted. Oh, go ahead. I wasn't talking.
I didn't say anything. You just looked at me. Nikolai Hoyard, by the way, back in Mexico at the Mexico Open, was the 3rd most expensive player in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's 7,300. And that's mostly because he has been playing absolutely awful the last few weeks.
And that's why I'm high on him.
Okay, just checking, making sure.
The floor is low.
Outside of the Masters, he's basically been no better than T68 the last 6 weeks? 7?
Yeah, that's not important.
Okay,
here's the reality of it, though. We take a look, 7,300. I want him to make a cut, which is awesome. He's 9 for 12. He's got 2 top 10s, which shows he's there. If he could just honestly put together 2 even par rounds, which he's proven time and time again, it's these events that he sucks at, is like he go out there and shoot like 70-70 and he'll miss the cut. He has the occasional 78, but everyone does. But that'll do it. That's fine here.
If you want a guy that makes a lot of cuts, Brennan Todd, 11 for 13. I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
The guy I love, 7K flat, Robert McIntyre.
Okay.
Robert McIntyre is gained his PGA Tour card as a result of play in Europe. Wind is going to be a huge factor. He's got amazing short game, one of the best putters in the world, and he's also staying in America temporarily, which is not something he's ever done before. He's been here for multiple weeks with his girlfriend, which is big, and he said, "This is the first time I've ever been in America and is happy. I'm feeling dangerous." I think, my goodness, 7K is this guy. I mean, 8th at the PGA, 13th at Myrtle Beach, but I don't really worry about that. And he's got 2 top 10s on the year. Granted, his stats have not looked spectacular, but for 7K, for a guy that just finished top 10 at a major and top 15 the week before, and his Mexico Open finished 6th, Valspar 33rd, I think in 7K, this guy is worth a chance. I love it.
Yeah, I like Robert McIntyre. I also like Rio Hitsasune, 7,100. I know he's Jack's guy, but I'm going to probably take the lead on him this week over Jack just because of Robert McIntyre. He almost tied for the low round of the day on Sunday at Valhalla. He gained in all statistical categories at Valhalla outside of strokes gained off the tee, which again is mostly due to the fact that he doesn't have a ton of distance and less about his accuracy. He was also this cheap last week, which I love. If you look at him, I think he's like 10 for 15 on making the cuts, but like one of those missed cuts was the Masters. Okay, first major. One of those missed cuts was the Players. Okay, big tournament. And then one of them was like Waste Management, which again is always a more well-known tournament. And these lower fields, I mean like T13 at the CJ Cup, T30 at Valspar, T18 at the Puerto Rico Open, T11 at the Amex, T30 at Sony. He's got no problems finishing top 30 on lower tier events. And again, all due respect, this is a pretty low tier event. And once you get outside the top 15 guys in the field. So I'm quite happy to get to Rio there at 7,100.
Agreed. I like that.
So cool. Into the 6K range we go. Grayson Sig at 6,900 all the way down to Sam Ryder. Hey.
Shout out Sam Ryder. Actually, no. Screw you, Sam Ryder. You ruined ESPN for everybody. Just kidding. One guy I like at 6,400 is Adam Svensson. I think he's playing some really good golf, really consistent golf. He's 10 for 15 on cuts. 3 of those have, all 5 of those have been in the middle of March or before. So since the Players, he's played spectacular, including a bunch of top 50 finishes. Worst was like 57. Not amazing. He's not finishing top 10 by any means. But for a guy that's made, let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cuts in a row. 6,400. You're getting me at the top, maybe like a Morikawa Homa. Hovland withdrew. Scotty Scheffler at the top. I don't think this is a bad guy to target. And then, where'd my guy go? You can talk about your guy while I find.
Yeah, somebody that I think is an interesting option. Again, I really don't love the 6K range, but one guy that I think is an option to get to is Jorge Campillo at 6,200. He's made 4 straight cuts, 3 of them being top 25s. You could argue that they were probably in quote-unquote weaker fields, but again, a weaker field. He is quite accurate off the tee as well. The biggest concern is that he hasn't played well in Texas. It is, again, it's something that I'm keeping in mind. And is he my first option in the 6K range? Probably not, but I don't like a lot of this range in general. So at 6,200, he's got a chance to make a cut. Yeah,
the other guy I consider is S.H. Kim.
That's who I like.
Yeah, he's not the highest of guys, but again, if you're in this range, something went awry, or you're looking for a diamond in the rough. 4th at the CJ Cup, 36th at Corrales, 14th at Valero, and made the cut otherwise at the Texas Children's Open and Valspar. I think he's proven he's not afraid to try and go at it in Texas. And I like it. Everybody else is, Gary Woodland can either shoot it up or shoot it down, if you know what I mean.
Pause.
I'm going to move on.
No, I like SH Kim as well. So I'm pretty high on him. 7 made cuts, including doing well at the PGA. So
Mhm.
I think he should probably be your first choice when it comes to the 6K range. Into the 5K range we go. We've got Ben Martin at 5,900, all the way down to another Ben Taylor at 5,000. Rory Sabatini's in this field. Oh, shout out to him. Good for him.
The only guy that I think you can do is Ben. Granted,
Bingo.
he's sucked in Texas, but 26th at the PGA, 57th or 58th at Wells Fargo, runner-up at CJ Cup, and then just kind of goes from there. But he's found something. That's the only guy that I think you can probably target here.
I mean, Michael Block is in this field, by the way, so you could theoretically go back to back Michael Block weeks. So yeah, I kind of like Ben Coles. 4 out of 5 made cuts, including a runner-up in Texas, by the way, at the AT&T Byron Nelson. At 5,700, you just need a made cut. It's really all there is. I think he's probably the only option here. I think Parker Cootie's in this range too, right?
I think his brother is too. I think they're both in here.
Parker's been the better of the two Cootie brothers at 5,900. If you want to get to Parker Cootie, I get it. He's been decent the last like 6 weeks. But again, even then, I'm not like itching to go pick Parker Cootie 5,900. I think it's Ben Coles, maybe Parker Cootie, whole lot of garbage, respectfully.
Fair enough.
All right. And with that, what does your DraftKings lineup look like, Jack?
Colin Morikawa, 11,000. Max Homa, 10,400. Maverick McNeely, 7,700. Austin Eckert, 7,500. Return of the Mac, Robert McIntyre, 7,000. Adam Svensson, 6,400.
There we go. We have 3 of the same guys, which is going to make it quite funny. I have Colin Morikawa, 11,000. Max Homa, 10,400. Taylor Moore, 7,900. Maverick McNeely, 7,700. Rio Hitsasune, 7,100. And Ben Coles at 5,700.
Ah, there's the Ben Coles.
Yep.
And my FanDuel, Morikawa, 11,900. Homa, 11,300. Hoagie, 10,100. Hoyard, 9,200. Eckroat, 9,100. And then Robbie Mack, 8,400. Speaking of return to the Mac, Conor McGregor returns June 29th.
Jack is very excited for that for the UFC's sake. For my FanDuel, I am starting Scotty Scheffler, $13,800, which is crazy. Max Homa at 11,300. Maverick McNeely at 9,500. Taylor Moore at 9,400. Mark Hubbard at 8,700. And Ben Coles at 7,100. So we will see. Bets.
Up 30.52 units on the year. If you fast forwarded to this event, you're welcome. My name is Jack. I'm here to win you money. I have 9 bets this week, and I love all of them. Number 1, Max Homa, top 30, minus 143. Hopefully, love of God, you locked that in early, because I'm pretty sure his top 20 number is going to be that shortly. But top 30, minus 143. Only one I'm a little 50-50 on is Taylor Moore, top 40, minus 120. He sucks in this event, but I think he's been such a good golfer this year that he's gone after it. Yes.
No, I laughed that Taylor Moore's your top 40 bet at minus 120 because there's another bet where he's also minus 120, and I think it's way better. So
cool. I have Tom Kim, top 45 in ties at minus 120. I have Austin Eckroat, top 40 plus 100. Love that. I have Robert McIntyre, top 40 at plus 125. I love that. Nikolai Hoyard to make the cut at minus 200. Akshay Bhatia to finish 45th or better at minus 120. And then 2 more big pluses that I think are steals. Colin Morikawa, arguably in the field, maybe outside of Scotty, the most consistent golfer right now, and maybe even the best outside Scotty. Top 20 in round 1 is plus 175. In this field with his ball striking, especially after it was last week, that looks really good to me. And then obviously Scotty Scheffler to play in the final round Sunday is plus 210. Basically, unless this guy gets hit by an asteroid, I think he's going to be top 5 going into Saturday afternoon. And I think that the reality, if you're giving me plus 210 at a guy that's positioned on all the books to be 4th or better, that is something you have to take at plus 210. And I'm willing to take that gamble.
Yeah, it sounds like at that point then it's a 50-50 shot. And if they're giving you good money at plus odds for a 50-50 shot, you feel like you have to take it.
I have to.
Yeah, for my bets, I'm doing something a little different, but a lot of the same thought processes. I'm starting Rio Hitsune top 40 at plus 130. My Taylor Moore bet at minus 120 is actually Taylor Moore over Aaron Rye. And that is minus 120. I think that bet is just equally as good as his top 40 odds. And I like the fact that he's only got to beat one guy as opposed to beating 115 guys or whatever the number is. Aaron Rye is notoriously known for not being very accurate off the tee, which I think is going to hurt him this week. So I like that right there. I have Scotty Scheffler top 20 in round one at minus 115. I have Max Homa over Jordan Spieth at plus 100. And I have Mark Hubbard top 40 at plus 105.
Homeless Hubbard.
Homeless Hubbard, but he's going to make a cut and he's going to contend for the top 40. That's all I'm saying. So, we going winners or wild card picks?
Let's do a little wild card since we smacked a couple winners in a row. I have two this week. I couldn't decide. First one I actually love. It's Akshay Bhatia top 20 at plus 240. I think he has a ton of upside. And that's why it's a wild card, but he's got a ton of upside. He's not afraid to gun it. And the way he works the ball in that penetrating ball flight, I think could really do some damage this week.
I thought you might have picked Akshay as a regular bet based on how much you liked him. I saw in the notes, so that's why I was.
Well, he is
I thought.
A bet.
Well, yeah, I thought you were maybe going to give him more plus money than that, though. That's what I was trying.
The reality is, when I saw he was 45th or better at minus 120, those are two good odds to pass up.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
And then my second one, a little less confident on, but it's JT Poston to miss the cut at plus 150. He has notoriously blown chunks here at this event. He was, according to the data that I saw, the sixth worst golfer here, and that doesn't even include Michael Block. The way he just plays here is scary. He hits it 280 yards off the tee. Strokes gained, he's in the hundreds. It's just scary.
It's so funky to me because I keep looking everywhere and it's oh, JT Poston sucks here. JT Poston sucks here. JT Poston sucks here. And I'm I thought this dude was on a fucking heater where he hit 8 in a row. And all of a sudden now it's no, he's awful at this event and he's awful at this event. So JT Poston is just an anomaly problem child in general.
Yeah,
so who knows when to
losing shots off the tee.
Yep.
He's 124th approach to the green, 86th in putting. It's ridiculous, what you see. And again, what you said, he just won a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's wild. The only metric that he's in the top 40 of is in approaches 125 to 150 yards. Every other metric, driving, putting, chipping, proximity, outside the top 40, that is it. The only thing, and hole outs, that's the only thing inside top 40 in terms of scoring that I found.
Yeah, which makes sense. For my wildcard pick, I actually looked and the odds have changed since I made this, so I don't know if it's technically a wildcard pick as much as it was. I had Justin Rose as the top Englishman over Aaron Rye, Harry Hall, David Skins, Callum Tarrant, and Ben Taylor. A lot of these guys I think are pretty low tier, so I really think it's Justin Rose over probably an Aaron Rye at plus 200, maybe throw in Harry Hall, but
Harry Hall contended here last year. Callum Tarrant and Ben Taylor, I think, have a combined 3 cuts made on the year. I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, so it's really Justin Rose over Aaron Rye and Harry Hall at plus 200. I think I look now and he's plus 180 in terms of that number. But again, I didn't love a lot of the big numbers this week, so I found this one and I was happy with it. So
not mad at it.
Yeah. All right, and then winners. Who we got? Who's winning this week since we're on a heater?
Maxwell Homa.
Ooh.
Well, if it's not Scotty Scheffler. Maxwell Homa. Now, the reality, I say that. This course is designed very closely to, oh, crap. Now I'm blanking. Oh, poo.
Southwind?
No. Crap. I deleted my notes thinking we were done. Anyway.
What state?
California.
It's not Pebble Beach, right? Or
oh, gosh.
Torrey Pines or...
No. Anyway, Max Homa, whatever course I'm thinking of in California that I'll remember the second we're off the podcast, it models very closely in terms of the metrics that are covered. I think Max Homa is dying to put a great performance on. I think with the score not getting to 20 under could service him really well. And if Scotty Scheffler has one bad week, I think he's going to do fine. And then I have Austin Eckroat. I think he's going for win number 2, and I really think that Oklahoma State kid, more country ground, I think this guy can dominate.
Yeah, no, fair play.
It's Tiger's event. What course am I? 10th hole, or you literally hit.
I
touch the V.
I don't know.
Oh my dick.
Well, I would love Max Homa to win because I have a lot of him this week. I have him in both DraftKings and FanDuel and a bet for him. So I'm cool if Max Homa wins. I don't have anything on Eckroat, but I could see that happening as well. For my winners picks this week, I have Maverick McNeely and Harris English. Again, both guys who are playing extremely well. Maverick, who's an extremely good putter. Harris English, who has not finished worse than like 27th the last 7 weeks. So
Riviera.
That does not start with a V.
Yep.
Literally, it's the one event in California I don't think I mentioned, too. I was like, Torrey Pines, Pebble Beach, Spyglass.
And line up perfectly for what's covered at Riviera.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Jack, you're dope.
All right. No worries. All right. Well, let's leave it there this week. This is a solid week in terms of betting. So, you can probably bet your normal amount. There will be plenty of worse weeks in terms of the betting odds, and there are some good opportunities out there. Next week, we go to the RBC Canadian Open. But until then, go out there, have some fun, make some money, and let's do this thing.
Deuces.